And good afternoon, Hunterdon County. This is Tony Page coming to you live from the Flemington Car and Truck Country Broadcast Centre in bustling downtown Flemington. I am joined at the microphones today by our show's great friend, Mr. Manny Ferinocci.
Thank you, Tony.
Have you got anything wise to say or anything you'd like to get off your chest?
I have a lot of wise things I'd like to
You
get off
do.
my chest.
You
They
do.
will come to
Okay.
me throughout the next hour. I'm sure
Oh
they
my
will.
God! Yes. Well, thank you for making the trek down
Thank
here.
you.
I should mention our partner in crime, Mr. Joe Eggett, is currently with his lovely wife Adele in New York City, going to the opera,
Right.
which is being performed at the Time Warner Center, and Mr. James Valenti, a North Hunterdon grad, is the lead opera singer. Don't ask me for more than that. But a team from Wycott Realtors in Clinton is on the way.
Right.
to
Now, how
the show.
far into the opera do you think Joe will get before he falls asleep?
No, he enjoys the opera. He has been a member there for
I'm
some
sure
time.
he's had a couple glasses of wine before he got there. And
Well, that's
he'll
it.
be sleeping.
That's it. Yeah. Actually, I should also say, too, that the weather yesterday was so bitterly cold and windy, my cheeks turned red last night, and I actually got a sort of windburn. You know, I don't know if that's common. Before we go on, I'll introduce Mr. Greg Gomes, who was kind enough to join us too. Now, where were you travelling from? You in Tinton Falls, or...?
Yeah, I actually was. I am from Tinton Falls, or live currently in Tinton Falls, and then I was doing some work with a buddy of mine today. As you can tell by my pants, they're a little spackly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I ended up.
Well, you guys don't feel the cold as much as some of us other ones that.
Oh no! I should clarify. We were inside today.
Yeah, you're inside. Okay.
Because the cold is not helping.
No. Well,
That's a long way to come from Tinton Falls.
it is.
Well, it's worth it. I mean, I'm
And
here
what's
with
your
you guys.
What's your specialty there, Greg?
Well, I got invited to come on the show today because I'm a drone pilot and certified drone pilot, and we do a bunch of different things with drones, including real estate photography. So
Absolutely.
happy to be here.
Well, it all came together quite quickly, and then we also are joined here by Mr. Bruce Pearson, who's our wonderful. We're calling him head engineer, or
Jack of all trades.
or trades. Who also
I've been called worse.
Well, yeah, who
And rightly
advises
so.
he's a helicopter pilot, and he also flies drones. So
Yes, but that's not. The show's not about me today. So you got
It's
a
not
wonderful
all-
guest that's brought some equipment, and
absolutely.
we share a lot of. Before we started the show, we shared a lot of stories together. So
You did.
It's really
Very
cool.
good.
I feel like
So-
everybody in this room knows a little something about helicopters,
Some-
drones, or whatever.
Yeah, well, some that I have, we need to forget.
Enough to
but-
get in trouble with the FAA. Let's put it that
Exactly.
way.
Now, we are actually a real estate-based show, but we're pretty liberal with sticking to selling real estate and doing extra things. And one of the things Joe and I want to do is bring in interesting people. So how we came to get together yesterday was I just signed up a new listing, and it's 14 and a half acres on a very special spot. And so I have a very good in-home and around-the-home photographer that I use, but how do you really show
14 acres.
14 acres?
Right.
And I wanted people to see the par 3 golf hole with all the bunkers.
Right.
They have extensive wooded areas and meadows that have been cleared, because it is also a horse potential property with that acre, and it's great. It's right beside 175 farm acres, and off in the distance is Round Valley, and yada yada. So
And that's the
quite
listing on Ramsey Road, right?
on Ramsey Road.
Ramsey
Yep.
Road in Lebanon.
Yep.
Lebanon, right? It's
It
considered
is
Lebanon?
considered Lebanon based on the postcode.
Right.
So, long story short, we got together with Skyview Aerial LLC or whatever, and to my great pleasure, Greg got out of the car because I was getting a little worried that you were.
Not going to be there or not going to be there at all. You're sitting there for a little while.
It's been changing a little bit with the other photography too. And Josh Spooner, right, who said that he's from White House, and he's
Yep, my little baby cousin.
right. So the interesting thing is we get out of the car, and it was frigid yesterday, if I didn't mention that.
Beyond frigid.
Here's this little box, and I went, oh, okay, because it was pretty blustery too, if I didn't. and we actually had a discussion because when these gusts of wind came through, I was a little concerned that it'd be, tousled around. But we're actually looking at the unit that you used yesterday, right?
Absolutely.
What a wonderful craft.
Now, what is this made of here? Is this titanium? What is this? These support arms.
The arms are actually just carbon fiber tube.
Carbon fiber? Okay.
Yeah, and then the blades, they're actually graphite infused plastic.
Okay.
So gives a little bit of strength, but
now on a day like yesterday with the cold weather, this probably is a more steady camera, right? You don't get the heat coming off, right? Or it really doesn't matter.
Nah, it doesn't really matter as far as the cold is concerned. The batteries are really the main thing that you don't want to leave out in the cold.
Yeah, they don't last.
So you severely diminish your flight time. The batteries.
What's the average flight time on something like this on a full charge?
On a nice warm day, and warm I mean above freezing, would be 10 or actually probably 15 minutes. 15 to 20 minutes, depending on what you're doing.
And how long for a charge?
Well, some of the chargers now they'll charge them in 45 minutes.
Wow!
But there's there's other drones out there. Some of the bigger studio drones that we have that'll fly bigger cameras. We can charge those packs a lot quicker, maybe 15 minutes if we're really pumping in power.
Can you pass me the remote? I want to play with this a little bit. Fire it up and see if we can get it flying around the studio.
I don't think we're going to do that.
I don't know how I feel about that.
It is remarkably quiet, though, because it is all electric, and the control they had over it was just incredible. And the viewing is via, well, in this case, a tablet, or is this an iPad?
Yep, that's an iPad.
Or your phone, and so Josh was actually, I think, shooting the video most of the time, wasn't he?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you were flying it, but together, we'd looked at the survey and we knew where we...
And now you'll create like a whole production signage in it and, like a little video type thing of the property?
Yep, we have capabilities of doing that. And we do that all the time. So it depends on really what the client wants. If they just want us to come out there and... take some raw video footage or whatever, and somebody wants to edit it themselves, they can go ahead and do that. Or if they need a little bit of more help and production, we do that as well.
Okay, now it's a real estate show, so obviously the drone's main function here is to take listings, pictures of listings. How about somebody wants to check on the status of their wife?
It depends. That's a
Manny's always. Thanks for coming along today and the status of your
I'm not married,
wife.
but I think my wife's cheating on me. Can you fly it over the house and see if the pool guy's car is in the driveway in the middle of the winter?
For 15 minutes. That's the only thing, though.
Yeah, I guess you could do that if you want.
And film it. And
absolutely.
So private eye services.
So you're available for those services as well. What else can you...
Well, that's an interesting point because privacy is one of the key issues, I think, with these...
No, because what happens is... when you're taping of someone's phone conversation, the belief is everybody on the conversation has to know that's not true. In New Jersey, only one person on the phone needs to be aware that the phone's being recorded. The same thing with this. The owner of the house happens to give him permission to go and record his property. If the wife happens to be cheating, so be it.
But there's other people
I didn't know
typically.
But he's only taking pictures of...
Well, we don't want to be...
Well, there's a number of issues that are overlaying, and unfortunately... It's interesting. As a fixed-wing pilot, I could go over your property, over the backyard at 500 feet, which is legal over for
residential,
right, and take a 1,000-millimeter lens or a video camera with a 20-to-1 zoom and fly all day long over your house legally. So the issue of the drones, there's a whole issue about property rights, air rights that has not been decided by the courts, and it's going to be years until it is. So we have this patchwork. Now, the FAA just came out with some regs a couple weeks ago for registration. Registration's really, there was over 1 million drones sold over the holiday season this year.
That was ridiculous.
So it's so ridiculous to think that this is going to have, it's another backwards backing into it approach, and the FAA is so woefully unprepared and behind the curve on this thing.
Well, but the FAA is a government agency, and that's how the government agencies do it. They back into things.
That's right. And hopefully they'll back into a prop someday. No, I didn't say that officially.
Wait, I don't think the FAA actually wanted to be in charge of these, but the government basically
How you not
thrust it
gonna?
on them, right?
Yeah, who else is going to...
Well, the numbers...
And yet they went to such an extreme the first time and declared that these were aircraft. Well, by the same definition, a Mylar balloon was an aircraft, a Chinese lantern was an aircraft, and so they kind of shot themselves in the foot with regard to that. And there's a lot of issues here that go to rights and who has what rights. But you really don't have air rights over your property.
Particularly
go look at
flight
Google
paths.
Maps, and they're taking pictures of your
However,
backyard.
though, you're hearing a lot of this drones invading airplane space. A lot of these pilots are reporting
There's an incredible amount of. I was on the phone yesterday with a guy who has airsafe.com. His website he's a former Boeing employee, and he looks at air crashes around the world and documents them very detailed. It's only a matter of time until somebody ingests one of these little beauties into an engine. And now you got a serious problem. It is an incursion in airspace. You got these jerks running around, on final approach at JFK or Newark. They're screwing around.
We got people with lasers. Shooting lasers at
shooting lasers right in the pilot's eyes. Very
what I mean?
nice.
So there's people out there. Out here in New Jersey, in Central Jersey, it's not really an issue. But yeah, if you lived in Queens, New York,
it's an issue.
Having a drone is an issue.
Well, it makes my life a lot. It's bringing a lot of light to what I do. As far as drones are concerned, I do all the right things. I am a federal aviation administrated pilot, licensed pilot, fixed wing and rotorcraft, and I try to do everything by the book. And then you got guys who want to go out to Brookstone and get a small drone, and then fly it over the White House. Go not buy a ticket at the ball game and go and try to fly over the pitcher's mound out from the parking lot. And it's
15 minutes later, it's landing on the pitcher's mound.
Exactly.
Because a battery ran out, and someone got hurt.
And then I get the text message, "Hey, were you at the Yankees game?"
Well, now is this? We'll say, God forbid, this should happen to crash somewhere. Could they identify it back to you?
Under the new regulations, you have to put an N number on it, and you're.
Okay.
You know what? Because he had some trouble with them running away with the old DJIs, you're crazy not to put it on there and offer a reward. Matter of fact, we have one. Rich found one in his backyard the other day. No information on it. So I told him that I'll get a hold of DJI and see if they. Because most people don't even register. So yeah, by law. Yep. You have to put an N number on it, which is kind of silly.
Is that like a wing number?
Exactly.
Yeah,
okay. They
call them a registration number.
Yep, N numbers.
Because they're N in the United States. That's why they call them N numbers.
On Christmas Day, my neighbor across the street and I were talking in the street, and the neighbor all the way down the road, we see him running up the road and go in my neighbor's backyard. We're like, what the hell is Ronnie doing? So we go over, Ronnie, what are you doing? Oh, the wind got a hold of. He got a drone for Christmas.
Oh boy,
the wind got hold of it, and that was the end of that. And because he didn't, he just got it, so he didn't know how to fly it. And then landed up 5 yards away. So.
Oh yeah, that'll happen. Yeah,
it's very wind sensitive.
Actually, this one particularly, this is the one that I would fly in the wind. If we had a shoot that required a bigger camera and bigger batteries, more props, I wouldn't fly that. These things, I've had them knocked out of the air and had accidents, quite a few.
Right, and that camera takes a 180 picture?
Oh, yeah, this will go, it
does take a 360.
360, yep.
Oh, it will spin all the way around.
Yep, it's got, 360 degrees of motion, except for a couple of degrees, it won't shoot straight up, but why would you want that anyway? So...
Yeah, this is like the platform. It remains horizontal, right?
Absolutely.
And then so it works off. But one of the things before we really delve into the video, let's take a little bit of a snapshot. And Amazon and all of these delivery companies.
Sure.
Because I think of Solberg Airport's, folks that are against that.
Right.
You get distribution centers that are going to be distributing stuff by drones. What's it going to be like? You thought mosquitoes and hordes of wasps or whatever were bad.
You know what? I don't think it's going to be an issue until there's a problem.
Well,
and then all of a sudden,
it will get very crowded though in urban areas.
Flight paths, because it's all going to be pre-programmed. But like we were saying before, are you staying out of civil aviation's
Well,
tracks.
everything will be
and-
fine until there's a problem.
Yeah, and then
Then
you have
everybody
other
will-
people that aren't complying, and it'll be interesting. You're going to have things falling out of the sky.
Well, you'll have people shooting them out of the sky. In Western
Well,
Pennsylvania, a couple
yeah.
of months ago, they did. Another thing is DHL has been shipping stuff over to the Channel Islands
Right.
for the last 6 months, shipping packages with the drone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that's
How big,
overseas.
though? How big
Very
is the
well.
drone?
Oh, big. As big as this. Big as the largest one we have, which will carry a 20-pound payload.
Wow.
20 pounds. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
So we can carry an Aeroflex, an Airy camera red for people in the business with the gyro. We demonstrated at the National Association of Broadcasters meeting a live HD feed off that camera in Las Vegas. So you could literally replace a blimp or a full-size helicopter and still have an HD gyro stabilized feed into a live broadcast, which is what we do with our sports stuff.
yeah.
Now, Greg, see how it goes up and down. How
Sure.
do you get it to go forward?
The drone itself.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
basic-
you. The drone.
Let's see
Your computer or laptop. How do you get your laptop to go forward? Yes.
the way that it goes forward, and I'll just
I
Yeah,
mean,
go
it's
ahead,
a-
pick it up, and you can
Because I don't see any engine. That's why I'm.
there we go.
see what.
There you go. Yeah. So
Just pick it up. There you go.
basically- So all these lifting surfaces are just go. They only bring air straight down. So
Right.
if you want to make it go forward, you would have to change the speed of the propellers. So if you wanted to go forward, you raise the speed of the back and maybe lower the speed of the front.
Oh.
And the
Who knew?
gyros inside stabilize it enough to whereas it'll kind
Right.
of do its own thing.
Well, that's where the real high tech is. Now, without going into the aerodynamics of flight or anything, in a normal helicopter, you have a cyclic, which the top rotates, and what that does is it changes the plane of lift on it.
Right.
You can't do that with these are fixed
Right,
propellers,
these
as
are
you can
fixed,
see.
right.
So you just drop the power on the front, raise the power in the back. It creates a forward lift on it, and the further you go on that forward lift, the faster the
Right,
forward
okay.
travel is. But the real key is the balancing act. And for anybody who's taken helicopter lessons, it's like standing on a beach ball in the pool. It's very, very tough to do.
Now, is this self-leveling?
Yeah, actually, this
yeah.
one has a GPS in it, and it has actually pretty much all of the drones. They have to have some type
Okay,
of
so you don't have to
self-leveling.
correct.
There's
it.
no
It
way you
just
could do it.
Yeah.
You couldn't stay ahead of it.
No.
No.
So it's like the B2s. We
Yeah,
never
you
could
can't
fly-
fly them. There's
we
no
could-
way
yeah,
a
we
human
could
could
do a
fly.
flying wing all in the 50s.
Absolutely.
Until the computer
Exactly.
technology kicked in.
Exactly. Well, the Northrop guys and the Horton brothers did it, but nobody else could.
Right.
It's very, very unstable.
But the old
normally.
B2, you familiar with the B2, Tony? The flying wing?
Wing,
In the
yeah.
50s they had it.
Right.
And it
Yeah.
just...
propeller driven.
That's why they still got the B-52s.
The
Right.
B-52s.
Well, that's because it's an indestructible
That's-
platform
exactly.
anyway.
Yeah,
Pretty
it's
much.
a fortress. I think they.
But the new ones, they wouldn't be able to fly them without computers.
No, and the
Yeah.
Raptor's the same way.
Raptor, right.
The way that there are so many calculations done so quickly that the human you
Just
couldn't
can't do
respond. No, and it's but these things are you put it into a hover, it'll just stand there. And the interesting thing, this gimbal, maybe Greg, you can show them the gimbal. The gimbal is really another very critical part. I
I'll
mean,
actually
back
take
in
it
the
off
old
of-
days, yeah, this will stabilize. So the helicopter's adjusting to all the wind
Now,
configurations
is
and
it
changes.
gravity or is it...
No,
is
no,
there
it's
an
got
engine in there
styro.
that
It's got servos in it
Oh, okay.
that tell it what the horizon is, and it
Wow.
will look. You can watch. We have shots of our choppers going like this in the wind,
Right.
and that sucker's as solid as if it was on a piece of concrete.
Right.
I
And-
should actually turn it on right now. And
Yeah, go ahead.
It
You can see it.
stabilizes.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
You fly around the room?
No,
we're not going to do that.
It's
These
a
things will cut you.
maybe
I'm-
a little windy in here for that. But if you go ahead and turn that on real quick, the gimbal initializes, and then I'll just pick it up real quick, and I'll show you guys,
How it
Um,
adjusts.
how it stays looking where it's
Steady.
looking.
Yeah.
You can see it moving around and follows the. So whatever he does, that gimbal will make. See that?
Right, right.
And that's the beauty. Plus the capability of these cameras. This is a 4K camera on this.
Absolutely.
This is Ultra HD. This will blow your mind. Now, there's very few places where you can utilize that. Certainly out on the web. We're on 720p. That thing's 4,000 lines.
Wow.
The point is that you can now downgrade it and still come up. The stills are just phenomenal. They're 20. Even the Phantom, which is a step down from this, has 21 megapixel. I think is the still camera
The
capability.
big
right?
on the Phantom.
Phantom,
I forgot if it was
19 or 21. You couldn't even buy a camera with that kind of capability
the,
before.
The capabilities, especially with what DJI has done, and I should mention that the drone that we have here today is an DJI Inspire 1, and they would.
Please don't play with the propellers, okay?
I guess
It's not a toy, all right? Stop playing with the propellers,
Oh, my
all right?
gosh.
They are the leader. They are the leader in
worldwide
consumer drones. Absolutely. So
what, out of the million sold, they've got like 50% market? Oh,
It probably got more than 50% of the market, actually.
DJI.
Yeah.
yeah, they just have an amazing product, and they've been doing drones for a very, very long time. Actually, they just had their 10-year anniversary. And so when I got started in drones, they weren't building drones like this. They were building the actual computers or the modules that you could get, and you could put that on your own copter that you made,
Right.
or you can buy a kit from somebody,
Right.
and then you can piecemeal parts together.
Well, that's one of the things that I was looking for, because you've got a platform, you're shooting this great video, but then it is, as Manny said, you're integrating it with all these other sort of things where you can, and that's where I see the value, because the house, this is just under 1.4 million, right?
Right.
Which out this way is a lot of ka-ching.
That's a nice house.
Yeah,
That's not folded money. Let's put it that way.
Exactly. So,
At least in my family, it's not.
I think this type of service is really filling the gap between the amount of verbiage and other normal photographs, because video is where the market's going, isn't it?
Yes.
Well,
You
what's
know.
happening now is we're going to. I'll give you a quick example. I was in a sales meeting, and the manager of the sales meeting, his daughter's there from college, winter break, and he turned to her and says, "Okay, we need to do, something in the afternoon." And first thing she did was she went to her phone, she typed it right in, because that's what millennials do. You're a millennial. We're antiques, but you're a millennial, Greg.
I thought I was a baby boom echo.
Yeah, I thought
No,
you spoke.
you're a millennial. What millennials do is the first thing you do is they go to their phones and they want it done now.
Yeah. But they talk
And-
to Siri, don't they? Or
And they talk to Siri and they get it done and they want an answer now.
Bob.
Yeah.
Where when we were kids, we were going to go to the library and look something up.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
you know what a library is?
I seen one once
Okay.
on my phone.
Encyclopedia.
Do you know what a payphone is?
Hold on, let me look it
Hey,
up.
Greg, do you
No,
have a demo on a website or anything?
I do. It's,
All right, I want to let
yeah.
you write that down.
Sure.
In the interim, let's take a look at what some of these things are doing. We're going to show his in a minute here. We'll show this one real quick and put it up on the screen for you. But you're right. It's the application. I mean, the technology for the pinheads that like to just play with technology. That's cool, and there's nothing wrong with that. But to use it, to help you in your business is really where it's at.
Well, to help our customers too, because they tell you what are the really nice features of this home, what they've enjoyed experiencing there for the years. Well, how do you really convey that? We have advertising rules that you can't say anything.
But you know what?
In order to describe distance,
when people, especially millennials, I forget the number. They say it's like 94% of people shopping for homes start on the internet. I think the
Right.
number is even higher
Higher
than
than that,
94%. But what happens is people look on the internet, and if you have a crappy photographer, guess what? You're going to flip right past that house.
Absolutely.
Now all of a sudden you see, whoa, look at his pictures. A lot of these agents are hiring professional photographers to come in.
Oh yeah,
instead
and
of just
stage the
taking their
place,
outfit,
right? Yeah.
because it's based on the internet. Well, people are making decisions about purchasing a house on the internet. Go look at the house.
Yeah, no
That's the
kidding.
point.
Get in the
So-
car and drive. Well,
now
unless
all of a
you're
sudden
in
you do a great
Tokyo,
video.
and okay.
But you do a great video. and
Here's an
now all of a
idea
sudden-
of what. Hopefully, this will play well.
see how the music comes in too. For those listening at home, there's music set to this. So.
Now, this is your website, Greg?
Actually,
to show Greg's
yeah, I can
This
show mine
is
in
some
a
stuff we
second.
had. This is all local stuff. That's why I wanted to show it to you. This is not this. This is St. Thomas, but
That's, is that the reservoir? Is that
this is Lake Windsor. That's up in Glen Gardner.
That's one of the things. You can actually convey the intensity by the speed of movement too, and then the music and
Yeah, let's bring the music down. But
yeah.
this is down in Manasquan Country Club. That's again in St. Thomas. This is up in Clinton, of course.
yeah.
There
We
you go.
sped this up to show you what fast motion looks like, and then you'll see the red mill coming up in a minute. And we're going to show
now this
Greg's.
is all taken from a drone?
Yeah, this is all our own stuff.
Wow.
Is this a mixture
Heusen.
of different drones that you have, or?
Yeah, some of these have a 5D. There's some film stuff we did, a documentary on skateboarding here. There's some shots. This is the Manasquan Country Club. You can see the drone in there.
Yeah, with the 5D or the 6D.
This is a 5D.
220, 221.
That's a digital.
221, 222, whatever it takes.
Point taken.
You remember that
It's
movie?
up in Easton? Yeah, exactly.
220, 221, whatever it takes.
See, look at the perspective it gives you, too.
Oh, yeah.
From a town planning perspective.
Manasquan Country Club, that's with a digital SLR camera. Now, you can see
Beautiful.
the amount of wind is
see?
blowing, and the thing is still rock solid.
Yeah.
So this is Pocono Raceway. They banned them up there
yeah.
after we worked with the exotic cars. Now, this isn't color corrected or stabilized. This is raw footage. This is up at the Red Mill, of course. But it gives you such a perspective. This is an alleyway up in
New
Easton.
Orleans. Oh.
No, it's in Easton. This is the square in Easton.
Crayola crayon.
Yeah.
Hey.
And this is just sped up. You can see how fast the cars are going. And you can see this is a DJI Phantom shot because you have the curvature
Now,
on the...
is this video sped up or is it the
That
drone
was...
sped
No,
up?
we sped up.
Okay.
But the drones will do 35, 40 miles an hour.
Wow.
And
what's the height on them?
Well, this is only about 100 feet. I mean, you don't need to go above that 400
Yeah,
feet.
legally. Legally you're restricted to 400 feet.
And that's plenty. I'll show you shots here over Easton, over the river.
That's where Stewartsville?
No, that's actually in Glen Gardner behind Rudels.
Okay.
This is Beaverbrook Country Club. And that's 100 feet. How much do you have to... I mean, I'm looking up over Easton at this point, This is one of my favorite shots. This one came out great. This is a great opening. We did a documentary and opened
It's a
it.
little expensive shot there. You could have been too low and underwater.
This is a commercial we shot for GlaxoSmithKline. That's running on a commercial right now. They put their logo up. I forget what drug it was, but that was last fall up in Wayne.
Looks like your wife going to work.
Not my wife going to work. This is shot with an ARRI. That's a film camera. This is over the old Marcal, the paper plant in Milford. Mm-hmm. That's Beaverbrook, and that's at 200 feet. So 400 feet. To exceed that is just crazy. It's not necessary. And here's a beautiful shot. I mean, Easton never looked that good. This is out in. This is over the water at Fire Island.
That drone was moving pretty quick. And so
we can.
That.
How do you like this shot? This is south of Alpha. I'm driving. One of our pilots is shooting. I'll show you the ending shot. This is Milford over the bridge, over the Delaware. I'm driving, he's flying, and we're shooting at the same time. That's a $20,000 shot with a helicopter.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. That's a neat toy.
Rent a Cineplex for a day.
So, let's take a look at yours. I'm going to pull it up here in a second. And but you can the beauty and here's the thing that I think goes back to the psychology of marketing. Everybody younger than us is video oriented to a greater extent every day. I follow the trends having launched this network, and I've worked in this stuff for 40 years. If you don't have video involved in it, you're losing out. And that goes to the most important purchase anybody makes, their home.
Yeah,
It's one thing to have a postage stamp sized photo. Mm-hmm. They may get enticed by it. You put video on that website and you fly them around it, or just get a perspective shot of it. In the old days when I did documentaries, and I proved this, we actually did some studies on this. I used to take it and guarantee people. I said, I'll buy you dinner if I'll mail a VHS videotape to your house, and I don't care if it's about toilet design. You're going to pop it in the machine because you can't resist taking a look at that thing. It's just that.
Yeah. I mean, Tony's listing that we've been talking about on Ramsey Road. It's a beautiful home. It's
beautiful.
Oh, it's on Ramsey Road? Yeah.
It's a beautiful home. And I understand the video on that. But even, as I'm listening to you guys talk, you take a regular $300,000 home. And a video like this, if someone stops to watch the video, I think that, they would entice them to go look at that house. Oh, so, not even the $1.3 million. But
even if it doesn't sell the house in and of itself, it pops you above the herd. You rise above everybody else who doesn't have video, and that's, in a marketing standpoint, it's the screaming car commercials for auto dealers. The guy that screams the loudest gets the attention, no matter how obnoxious it is. And I'm not saying that it's obnoxious, but I'm just saying that it raises you above everybody that doesn't have video. Right. And going in for a listing, I have my real estate license for 14 years. Mm-hmm. Going in and saying, hey, look, you know what? I'm going to throw you a perk. I'm going to do video of your home. Was the other agent that just came in going to do video? No, they never mentioned that. Oh, right. Bingo! Now you've got a leg up to land that listing.
Well, it's really is it going to work as well? And
no.
every part of the marketing
package, right?
pie, if you will.
Right.
You really change around the composition, but a lot of different people in real estate that I've spoken to don't know what actually works, but they're too scared to remove anyone and reduce the pie.
They don't want to
And
change anything.
No,
right.
and I think this actually gives you another spoke, if you will, to that wheel. And it's up to you to actually write the script, and that's why I had the plans. We went over some of the highlights. You can't expect people to just front up there and then do this amazing...
Well, Greg, let me ask you, because nobody's going to ask you this question.
Oh, yes, I'm ready.
How much is the piece of the pie?
Wait,
If
what
someone
pie?
wanted to do a typical shot of their home, a real estate agent wanted to hire you for their
Sure.
services, what would be a complete... And basically all you're doing is you're sending them the complete video once it's complete. They don't care about anything else.
Definitely.
What would be the normal cost, an average cost?
Well, normal cost for video, we range anywhere from $100 to $300, $400, $1,000. It depends on what kind of quality video you're looking for. So normal.
So you're talking about the camera?
Oh, how much is the
No. Video is going to depend on what camera you put on the end?
video? It really depends on what equipment we're going to be using and what you're looking for in the after, or what we would be doing in the post as far as editing. Because
Okay.
post is really what takes
That's
a
where
lot
the
of
money
the
is.
time.
Right.
So
Oh,
we can
really?
go out there
Okay.
and shoot for 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, and get everything that we need, but it's going to take a few hours, half a day, to
Forward it to me.
do
I can
something.
edit in a couple of minutes.
And that's-
Believe me, I can get it done.
And you know what? That's an option. We actually, we
They'll let you
definitely
do
do
it.
that
Yeah.
for
Yeah, I'm going
people.
to spend the money on the video and then edit it myself.
Yeah, right. Put a little
Uh.
something here and there, but no, it's I would say if you're going to sell a house that is $1 million plus, why wouldn't you spend $300 on
Oh, absolutely.
on
You'd be crazy
something
not
that?
to.
Well, my point being is, though, if I'm selling a house that's only $100,000 or $300,000, is it worth spending the $200?
It's
and
trivial.
I think it is.
That's trivial.
Yeah, I
you
think
know?
it is.
It really is.
But I do mortgages. Tony does the listings. But what's happening with most people, it's what are you going to do for me? An appointed agent, and the cost is ultimately going to fall on the agent.
Right.
And something I know we'll cover at the end is the best way to contact you. But if you can, why don't you let everyone know the best way to contact you now, and we can hit it later on.
Sure,
Why
definitely.
don't you give a little bit of a profile on Skyview and its derivation? We haven't spoken about the helicopters, but the remote
That's my
control.
helicopter. I'm going to be playing with that.
This
later
is
on.
your
Yeah,
one,
it's
yes.
an EC-135.
Oh, that's what we've been talking about. Okay.
So, as far as Skyview is concerned, I flew remote control helicopters my entire life. Something like what I brought to show you guys today.
Yeah, bring that over and put that up and show them.
Yeah, no, you can pick it up anywhere. If you break it, you bought it.
Yeah, exactly. Cash or charge.
Yeah. So.
I got.
Yep, there we go. I'll just go.
Yeah,
I got it.
okay.
All right. So this right here is Sob Goblin. It's
Ah,
just
yeah,
a
Sob
small,
Goblin. Yep.
small.
It's a Sob Goblin.
Oh, the old Saab Glob.
Yeah.
Probably like I don't know. It's a. They call them about 450 size. It's a little bit bigger than 450 millimeter, or 380 millimeters on the rotor. One of these rotor blades is 380 millimeters. But this is a 3D. We call them 3D aerobatic helicopters, and we can take them. These are the kind that you can take, flip around, cut grass. Do I don't even know how many miles an hour. This one probably get up to 70 or 80 miles an hour. And,
Meaning what? You can do it upside, invert it, and
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, or you can fly it wherever you want. It's very, very, very agile, and it's for aerobatics and sport. There's really nothing that this helicopter is going to do other than
Have fun.
have fun. Exactly. So
That's an extreme helicopter.
It
I mean,
is.
it really does incredible. It's so agile
and to get it going forward, it's the same concept that we talked about this.
Well,
Well,
That's a
actually,
little
no.
bit
That's a
different.
single rotor, so that has an articulated rotor head on it. So that actually tilts the whole
Yeah,
that
okay.
plane, that plate, if you will.
Right here,
it
and
looks
then
like
tilts.
right, yeah.
Okay.
So that's a,
But there's no projection. There's no motor in the back that projects it, like
No,
a jet engine
no.
or anything like
No,
that.
no.
Yep.
The rotor just stops it from going around?
that counter.
yeah, that's counteracting the torque from the rotor head. But
I thought it did give you a little bit of... No.
well, we'll have to
That's
invent
all.
that.
Well, there actually is. There is sometimes, like if you look at a jet range or whatever, they do have horizontal stabilizers that do, but really that's just to stabilize
Stabilize
it.
it,
You
right.
get your forward from the cyclic in the collective.
And then what type of engine is in something like this?
These are just brushless motors, and actually, what I brought today is all brushless motors. And drones really.
Is it like 12 volt? I mean,
This
No,
actually
they
is
vary.
it's a 22 volts 6L.
Yeah,
22.2 volts.
A lot of things have come together technologically to make this possible. The old NiCads and were just too heavy and not efficient enough, and didn't put out the power that was necessary. Now, a lot of the big ones, and they have huge, beautiful, full-scale RC, and they'll run on two-stroke engines, and
Right,
I mean
yeah, I
they're
remember.
amazing,
Yeah.
huge Chinooks and stuff.
Turbines, they even-
Yeah, real
Weren't
turbines.
they Cox engines or something?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
those
back
are,
in the old days, the old 49,
Yeah.
those run on nitro.
nitro,
Yeah.
Little
So-
can of nitro. So
Definitely.
Well, that reminds me. So some of the clients that you work with, Nitro Circus, I was just thinking of.
Oh yes, of course.
And some of the other activities, because before you know it, we will probably run out of time. What do we got?
no, we're good, Chan. We got 20
Yeah.
minutes. I want to play his demo
Yeah,
also.
well,
for
we'll
him.
also just hand out your contact information, where people can go,
Sure.
and then we can do that at the end too.
Definitely. I actually, it's you can go to our website. It's skyviewap.com.
And view is VUE.
Yep.
VUE.
SKYVUEAP.com. And you can call us at 732-735-3160. That's a New Jersey number for those of you who are in New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's the point.
And they'll
Are you
give that
allowed
number
to
out later
go
on.
over
Yeah, I'll try to get that on for you.
into
on the-
different states?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So you're a federal license.
Federally
Right.
licensed, so I can
Yeah.
do
Have drones will
I can do
travel.
anything anywhere.
Nice.
No.
Not in controlled airspace.
Not in control.
So Travis Pastrana,
Yes.
he lives on the West Coast, doesn't he?
He does. It's
Yeah.
amazing that he's over here on this side, because most of these big time athletes, and I don't know, do I want to call him a celebrity? They all go, once they make it, they are out of here to
Yeah,
LA or
yeah.
someplace. But Travis, he lives quite humbly, I should add, in Davidsonville, Maryland. And we ended up working with an action sports camp called Woodward out in Pennsylvania. And we did that since we started. So one day, since the action sports camp also works with a lot of big-time action sports athletes, they said, hey, we're going to Travis Pastrana. Do you want to go? And I went, yeah. And this was years ago, before drones really took over. So
Right.
we brought our equipment, which at the time, and even now, is still massive compared to what we have today here on the table. We brought that stuff down there, and we really made an impression. So now every time Nitro Circus or Travis
Have you
Pastrana
seen
needs something,
Nitro Circus?
I have not.
Some
no.
of the stunts that.
I was up a couple months ago in Traverse City, Michigan, for the largest mountain bike competition in the world. They had 6,000 competitors, and we put a drone up at the start line, and it went on all day. So it was a pretty amazing event. So
Yeah, these extreme sports, because the platform, it's so stable, the great quality video, the slow-mo if you want to, and all the other attributes, it's amazing. So you see, like out in Arizona, wherever they have those single trail,
oh yeah,
the skill of these guys, they have walked it, but it's like on the ridge line, and they're just going for it.
they're on another level,
Yeah.
mentally, physically. I don't know what kind of IQ these guys have, but they know exactly
where the edge is.
what they're doing. And I've been in situations, especially at Travis Pastrana's house, where if you don't make it, you guaranteed will die. And I've filmed people almost dying. One that brings me to mind is they set up a ramp that went 70 feet into the air, and they did, and it went down to an
70 feet.
airbag. And actually, we'll see it on the reel.
Okay,
if
we're
you
gonna
tune
we're gonna
in.
roll this,
Video.
and let's take a look at this.
But there is a
I mean, it won't go full screen. It said so.
actually,
Yeah, well, I tried. It said it won't.
the YouTube at the bottom there.
Full screen is unavailable,
Oh well, okay.
which kind of stinks.
But the one guy, Trevor Jacobs, I'm actually have a phone call with him tonight. He has a project that we're gonna start, but he doesn't ride dirt bikes. He's a pro snowboarder, and actually he's an Olympian. But he's nuts. long story short, he gets one of Travis's bikes, like pins it. Travis says, "Go make it to third gear and pin it." And what are you gonna do? You're gonna fly in the air, land on an airbag, whatever. So he does exactly that. He then proceeds to kind of turn right a little bit up the ramp, and he's going 70 feet in the air, not towards the airbag. There's, thank God, a tree sitting over to his right, and he's running through the air sideways, and he pushes off the tree back onto the airbag.
Wow.
And he almost missed. The bike didn't even come close to the airbag. I'll just show you guys that shot if it's not in the reel, but the reel's playing now, and I guess you can see.
So these guys have seen the value as well, both from a learning perspective, so they can see how they're adapting to the situation, their particular run.
Absolutely.
Oh, for training? Oh, yeah.
Like
absolutely.
after-action reviews in the military.
And slow-mo, like you said.
Tell you another, in the real estate business, another adjunct that we've been asked to do, and a lot in commercial, but residential. You up and do these inspections, and they want to. So roofs. We fly that thing up, roofs, air conditioning units, chimneys that needs to get right into it, stills off it, pinpoint it. They do the report. Now they're not throwing a ladder up against the roof to do an inspection.
Right. Actually,
that's a big improvement.
Where are we in right now? We're in the middle of the playoffs, Super Bowl coming up. Some of those camera shots, I mean, I know they're not drones, they're on cables.
They're the cable cam. That's Sputnik. I worked with them for 3 years with Fox Sports.
But it really takes it to another level.
Oh, it does.
The
perspective
watching
is
the game.
Oh, yeah, you're on the field, literally.
Right, watching
behind
the game. I'm very much into auto racing, and for a long time,
we had the cable cam we put on in NASCAR. I used to do all the NASCAR stuff. I did Speed Week for 5 years.
You didn't do one in Daytona, did you?
Absolutely, 5 years.
The one where it collapsed and went across the track. Okay, yeah. The cable fell.
Let me tell you. I'll tell you a story. I'm at the Jacksonville Super Bowl for Fox. I ran the field shop for them. The riggers are setting up those cables. The guy says, "Man, one of these cables lets loose, we'll take about 3,000 heads off when this thing goes whipping through the crowd." It's the original Sputnik was the size of a Westcam, about is half as big as this table, and it looked like Sputnik. That's what we call it. Sat on a big rack, weighed 300 pounds, and there was a lot of stress on that sucker when those motors ramp up to 50 miles an hour. And then we put them along pit row when we went over to fiber with NASCAR down in Daytona. And then you hear that thing coming up behind you, and guys are ducking. It's 30 feet over their head. But it's still a very intimidating, dangerous piece of equipment if something goes wrong. Now, these are too.
Oh, yeah. Well,
but you can stand off. What we do is we'll stand off from the stadium, pop up, do a live shot, inject it into the show, and drop back down. We're not over the crowds. We're not buzzing people. Safety has to be the first issue, and then everybody has a good time. But I've seen these guys. I was out in Pasadena at the Rose Bowl with a Jumbotron truck a couple weeks ago, and there's guys across the street flying over crowds and stuff. One little burp, and you've got a 4,000 RPM plastic knife. You'll cut somebody's head off with it. I mean,
and nobody
kill
has
people.
time for that.
Well, the downhill skier, remember?
Yeah. Right.
They were coming down, and it just
dropped. Man.
Yeah. And now they're banned on the...
They banned them at Pocono Raceway. We did that with the exotic cars. We were up there for 2 days. We didn't have any issues. We weren't anywhere near the cars. And, what are you going to do, scratch a car? There was no spectators around. But yet they banned them because people just abuse it.
Push the limits. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think exactly like you said before. You've applied the same principles of aviation and human flight, and with unmanned vehicles, it's like a video game. You can push the limits a lot more, and I overdid it.
There's no reset. Video where you hit the airbag.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Here it is, right here. Here you go. There's the airbag shot right there, right?
Oh, there's that's Travis. I actually don't know if I have another video that is on here. I'll show you guys after the show. But
actually, right before the airbags, there was a very good-looking blonde that was on.
Oh, doing the car commercial, right?
That was me.
In a wig.
We won't touch that.
Pretty neat toys.
Yes, thank you very much.
Now, how high can you still have control over this? How high will it go that you still?
Or how far away as well?
Well, depending on the radios, I know that people have gotten them as far away from themselves as 8 miles.
Line of sight, you're pushing your luck.
Line of sight, legally, you're only really allowed to fly. Actually, tell you the truth, you are allowed to fly these things non-commercially. They have long range, like FPV type stuff that you can fly as a hobbyist.
FPV.
FPV means
First person
view.
So you put on a headset, you're seeing what not this camera, but a camera inside it.
Oh, that's the first person view.
Yeah,
via
you
the
see
camera.
what. Right.
So long as you're able to see
Exactly.
clearly, you're.
So they'll
Okay,
put these little tiny cameras on the nose of an airplane, and with some specific video equipment and video sending equipment, and they'll go out 8 miles, 10 miles, as long as the thing will fly, and they have really big antennas or whatever to get the signals out as far as them. Now, as far as myself is concerned, I can't really do that. I have to be line of sight and under 400 feet, and I really can't go that far. And that's all because I'm commercial and I'm abiding by the Federal Aviation Administration's rules.
And to bring Joe Eggert into it, Joe Eggert was in the Vietnam War. So he always brings up the vets, and I watch some of these shows, the National Geographic shows and Smithsonian shows, on what some of these drones are doing for the military.
Out of Fort Washington.
Instead of putting people in harm's way.
It's going to be a virtual war, the next big one.
That's
that goes
right.
on.
My robot killed your robot.
Right, like Terminator 2.
Exactly.
The other point that Greg does that is very important. They fly with two people. We never fly alone. And, it's one thing to be a hobbyist and do it, but if you're doing it commercially, you have a pilot that's flying the aircraft and a cinematographer. You're not trying to do both things. Right. We actually have a safety guy, too, that watches everything around and says, you got birds coming up behind you, or watch that building. These are machines that need to be respected the same way you should respect a fixed-wing aircraft if you're going to put your life inside it.
I've got to say how professional it seemed. And a few of the neighbours were driving by, and the garbage collectors.
Stop traffic.
But like with the lights, it looks like a commercial operation with this too. You're actually watching it, and the way in which you were controlling it, it wasn't as though.
What do you mean the lights?
Well, there's orientation lights on here, so you know where the front or the back is.
Oh,
one of the things that's very hard, think about this, one of the things that's most incredibly hard to do that's now been solved. But in the early days, your situational awareness. Because now, think about you're using joysticks to fly this thing. You turn the camera around where it was mounted to. Now you're flying everything backwards. So your intuition, the way you've trained your brain that forward is S, and the cyclic and the collective. Now it's all reversed because you're flying backwards.
Right. Now take it one more step further and flip that thing upside down.
Yeah.
Right.
Now everything's reversed and mirrored, which is insane. But one of these days I'll have to get here and go nuts.
And it does some pretty neat tricks too. You can say, "I want to take a shot of you, and I want you to hold that shot and spin around, do a 360." That's incredibly hard to do without any assist. Yeah, that camera will just sit around and spin around you and pull up and do a beautiful shot. Like the world's largest jib shot, but. That's incredibly hard to do, to keep a circular motion around even a fixed person and keep that thing oriented and keep the same framing. And now, you let the computers do it. Now, the other thing they do is they use sonar. This has sonar in it. So in the past, if you came inside to use it in an indoor soccer arena or something, you lose the GPS. The thing's going to wallop the wall or somebody else. Now it uses sonar to figure out where the roof and the ceiling is. It bounces.
It feeds it back. So it is like a little radar.
Yeah,
it's unbelievably sophisticated. People have no idea.
Yeah. And the real cost of one of these sort of units is about.
You can get one of these retail
with
for
the case and everything.
Oh, with the case and everything, you're looking at over 4,000.
4,000 easy.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, So
it's not a toy.
Now, where does this go from here? Where do we go from here?
Where do we go from
with
here?
drones?
Man,
what's the next step?
I go all over the place, and I talk to a lot of people about that, and teach kids about drones. And the possibilities are endless, really, as long as you're falling in with the legal ramifications or with the law. As far as the FAA is concerned.
Insurance as well.
Yep, insurance. You have to have all that.
Get
liability.
You have to have liability, right?
But where drones are going, I couldn't even say. Whatever you could think of, you can.
We've had, it's unbelievable. We had on our investigative show that is nationwide out of Los Angeles. It's on tonight 8 to 10. Just a little plug there.
Hello.
But I work. One of the guys that is in our team, and you know him, Bart Cacciola, lives up in Union Township, and he runs the world's largest forum on this. And actually, He has a show which we're bringing onto our network, which I helped him set a studio up in Clinton, and he produces a biweekly show called multirotorforums.com. And they get experts in from the FAA and from the AMA, the Model Association, American Model Association, and these guys are the best in the world. We had an investigative reporter on 2 weeks ago on our show. The amount of surveillance activity, everybody and his brother in law enforcement, in government has drones, and they have drones that are the size of dragonflies, which put out pictures. You won't even know when you're being surveilled. So where is it going to go? God only knows. But we interviewed a guy from Oregon who has an organization that takes drone operators. He has over 117 countries, and they work with search and rescue. Now, you can get these with infrared on, but you should hear the stories of these people. They'll go out and take a drone, and they'll go over an inaccessible area, whether it's an urban area or whatever, to help look for people. So there are innumerable good uses of these. However, there's going to be abuses like every other technology.
I guess in an urban area, you'd want some sort of facial recognition. But I guess if you're over the Smoky Mountains,
looking for a
Colorado
child
Mountains,
or whatever.
Right, you just want that heat signature.
Absolutely.
But
that facial recognition exists today.
Oh, I know it does.
Go back to the Super Bowl. That was the first major sporting event in the United States where every person, they briefed us on that the day before, that 70,000 people were going to be scanned for facial recognition. It's just give you a little sidebar. When you go to get your license renewed, if you wear glasses, take the glasses off, take the hat off, and that's because facial recognition wants that stuff removed. It is at a level now, it's unbelievable.
Well, JFK Airport just started yesterday.
Yep.
First major airport with facial recognition. So,
So
but
you
next
will-
week on the show is going to be George Orwell, and he's going to be talking about Big Brother.
He's going to be a little muted because he's underground.
He's in the music business.
Well, a lot of this too comes
He's
out
decomposing.
That's
He's
right.
decomposing.
Israel. They have some of the best technologies for security, let's say. So these sort of developments, whether it's military or exploration or whatever, it's you think of it.
Absolutely.
And battery life and all of these newer technologies are really merging and melding together to create new businesses. I for one, though, just still am struggling to think about the environmental impact, noise-wise, even the of all of these drones, because I think 1 million, it's going to be going up exponentially
Oh, absolutely.
for some time, particularly with carrying things. And just the business models, and
I know actually Ford Motor Company is working with making like the George Jetson type car. They're talking about that. They just came out with the Ford Fusion. They linked up with Google, and they're doing a completely autonomous car. And what they did was they was watching. It's on YouTube. Well, everything's on YouTube. Watch the video.
We're on YouTube, actually.
Yeah,
we're
all
on
right.
YouTube.
what do you think of the merging of all that?
But they were showing the car,
technology,
and the guy's just sitting there, and it's driving itself.
Yeah.
And-
Scary, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's widely accepted that the black budget. Excuse me. Let's see.
Okay. That's the mood time, I guess.
Mood lighting.
Yeah, with 5 minutes to go, we're
5
going to
minutes
turn
ago.
it
But
down. Is that Barry White I hear in the background? It's getting worrying.
You'll never know.
Very well done,
Barry-
Manny.
Tell Greg who Barry White is.
Oh, come on here.
Yeah, come on,
No, seriously, who is that?
Mr. Barry White.
But black budget stuff is about 20 years ahead of what we see. Let me see what's going on here. Hold on.
Sure. So
Now, at what point, though, does it invade our privacy?
It already has.
It has,
Right.
exactly. And that's the thing. It's who's really using it. Is it being stored, all of that video, too? Because it's the same with phones. I work for the phone company.
Right.
You cannot put up a network that can't be surveilled
Right.
anywhere around the
Well,
world, to my knowledge. So.
now, the bank I work for, we have a whole IT group, and what they were showing me how you could take an Android phone or an Apple phone, and just by walking into the room, they can basically in 30 seconds tap into your phone, read everything. Now, if you have those new cameras at your house, that if there's any motion in your
Oh,
house,
the Wi-Fi cameras?
it goes right to your phone. basically the government can tap in and watch what's going on inside your house.
It's a good thing I'm not doing anything illegal.
I mean, what are they going to watch? Your dog running around your house or something? But other than that,
well, again, anything digital, whether it's the photo or whatever, it's permanently.
Yep, it's
there.
a little suspect.
George Orwell, ahead of his time.
Yeah.
Do you remember George Orwell, Greg?
I do remember 1984.
Right.
Specifically. No, I'm just kidding. I wasn't born
let's
there
sort of
yet.
wrap this up if I can, because one of the things that I think, I go back to platforms that give value. And so I see a lot of value in this. I give you a lot of kudos for getting involved in it so early.
Absolutely.
And you're both so personable. The idea of having the cinematographer, the editor there with you as well as navigating, I think is brilliant. I can't wait to see what you're doing in another year or two's time, because I'm sure
you guys will be amazed at what's coming down the pipe.
You gave up on weddings, I think, but you used to, and that offers an interesting perspective, right? Some of the cultural ones. What other sort of things have you done?
Oh man. Anything.
Music videos.
Oh yes, music videos. We definitely have done a lot of action sports, as we mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
Real estate is the bread and butter, the moneymaker when we're not doing all the other things. But we we still do weddings and.
Yeah.
And,
well, see, for real estate, I can see the opportunity for people to be able to dial up little libraries of these video vignettes. And actually, because of how information's embedded in it, in the metadata or however, you'll be able to refine your search very quickly.
Sure.
And you will, because you're not then relying so much on some lazy agents to put in all the categories, Because if it's not in there, or it is in there and it's not correct, either way, you won't find it in your search. Whereas when it's automated, I, for one, have more confidence that it's going to be accurate.
Sure.
And so
it's eclectic and
this guy
inside
here,
joke.
we're going to have to take him outside, I think, shortly. So anyway, we've got 1 minute to wrap up. Manny, you didn't talk about mortgages, but Greg, just give one last plug.
Where
for
do
your
you?
business.
How can we get a hold of you, Greg?
Sure, definitely. It's again, it's skyviewap.com, SKYVUEAP.com. You can find us on Facebook at Skyview LLC, SKYVUE LLC, of course. And then, of course, you can give us a call at 732-735-3160.
Perfect. And I, for one, can't wait to see this video. I'll show everyone here. We'll be posting it. Manny.
Real quick, I mean, the stock market's getting hammered, getting beat up pretty bad.
Where did it finish?
290 point. The Dow did. A lot of people put more value into the Dow. Really, they want to put more value into the S&P 500. That was down about 40 ticks. Also,
that's been down for some time though.
The biggest thing is oil finished $26. Now, what that's doing is
$26
$26 a barrel, $26.79 a barrel. This time I was looking
today.
at it, and but what it's doing is it's bringing mortgage rates back down. So every time we talk about mortgage rates going back up, something triggers it. So I got my cousin friend. He's my cousin. He's a trader on Wall Street, one of the few traders, and his wife is Chinese. I told him to go home and yell at his wife and tell her to get on the phone and call China.
Culturally,
because that is what is triggering everything that's going on in China right now.
Absolutely.
They said slowest growth in 25 years.
Yeah. Well, but you know what? They were moving at such a rate they could never maintain.
No, they couldn't sustain that.
So they've mothballed enough.
But anyway, still, great time to buy, people. So
very good. Well said.
Manny, my mortgage.
Thank you, Tony.
In touch with you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, great show. Sorry for the it looks like we had a power surge here, so I apologize for the
power
tech thing.
surge.
Yeah, it looks like it. That's what I'm
right.
figuring. All right, listen,
Thank
everybody
you.
have a
God
good one.
bless.
Be
Take
safe.
care, guys.
We'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today.